Tonight, let's talk about desire, about wanting something so badly that wanting itself becomes the only thing you truly have. This is Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. Don't worry about staying awake. The story will carry you wherever you need to go tonight. Madame Bovary is a woman who read too many romance novels and believed them. She wanted life to feel like those books promised. But let's start with Charles Bovary, who arrives first in this story and understands least about what's coming for him. His cap becomes legendary. A ridiculous thing with too many parts, like Charles himself trying too hard and getting everything wrong at once. His mother shaped him. A domineering woman who planned his whole life, leaving no room for Charles to become anything but what she decided. So Charles becomes a doctor, not a brilliant one. A competent country practitioner who sets bones and delivers babies in Norman villages. His mother chooses his first wife, an older widow with some money. Charles doesn't love her, but Charles does what he's told. Then a night call to a farm. A farmer named Rouault with a broken leg. Charles rides through darkness and finds something else entirely waiting. She stands in the kitchen doorway, and Charles, dull Charles, is struck as if by lightning. She is the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. Emma was educated in a convent. Nuns taught her embroidery and piano. But she taught herself the dangerous part, reading romantic novels in secret. Those books promised passion. Handsome counts, moonlit gardens, undying devotion. Emma absorbed every word and believed life could truly be that beautiful. Charles's first wife dies. Heart gives out, they say. Charles is free now, though he doesn't know yet what he wants freedom for. He returns to the Rouault farm often, officially to check the healing leg, actually to see Emma. Her father notices and quietly approves. Emma accepts Charles's proposal, not from love but from hope. She believes marriage is the door that opens into the life she's read about. The wedding feast lasts 16 hours. Norman abundance overwhelming. Roast meats, custards, cider flowing. Emma already feels something is wrong with the picture. The wedding night. Emma waits for transformation, for passion like the books described. Charles falls asleep happy. Emma stares at the ceiling, wondering. The house in Tositz. Small, dark, cramped. Emma walks through rooms that feel like prison cells. This cannot be what marriage means. She tries. She arranges furniture, tends the garden, plays the devoted wife. But the days stretch empty and the boredom becomes physical pain. Charles adores her. He rushes home to kiss her, tells everyone how happy they are. His devotion begins to feel like another wall around her. Then an invitation arrives, a ball at Vaubyessard, the Marquis's château. Real aristocracy. Emma's hands tremble as she reads the card twice, 3 times. She prepares obsessively. Studies fashion plates, practices curtsies, imagines every conversation. This ball is her entrance into the life she was meant for. The night arrives. Their carriage approaches Vaubyessard through torch-lit lanes. And then Emma sees it, the château. Everything she ever imagined made real. The ballroom takes her breath. Crystal chandeliers, polished floors reflecting 100 candles. Women in silk. Men in perfect evening dress. This is life. A viscount asks her to waltz. He leads her spinning across that brilliant floor. For these few minutes, Emma Bovary is exactly where she belongs. She glimpses an old duke being fed like a baby. Drooling aristocrat, relic of another age. Even paradise has its grotesque corners, she learns. Dawn ends the ball. Emma finds a cigar case dropped by some gentleman. Green silk embroidered. She keeps it like a holy relic forever. The carriage home. Every mile takes Emma further from that world and closer to the prison of her ordinary life. She cannot bear the distance. She sickens. The doctors call it nervous condition. What it really is, the disease of seeing paradise and returning to the ordinary world without it. Charles decides they must move. New town, new start, perhaps that will cure her. He chooses Yonville, another provincial trap, but he cannot see it. Yonville-l'Abbaye, another Norman village, another main square with church and inn. Emma descends from the coach and feels the familiar weight of disappointment. Monsieur Homais the pharmacist rushes to greet them. He never stops talking. Science, progress, his own importance. Emma's eyes glaze over within minutes. Dinner at the Lion d'Or. The whole cast assembles. Village notables, the innkeeper's family. And sitting quietly in the corner, a young clerk named Léon. Léon Dupuis, notary's clerk, young, romantic, sensitive. Everything Charles is not. Emma feels his presence immediately, like warmth from an unexpected fire. They discover shared sensibilities. He mentions Walter Scott. She lights up. They discuss sunsets, music, the feeling that life should be more beautiful. Evenings at the Homais house become their ritual. Léon reads poetry. Emma plays piano. Their souls touch while their bodies remain properly apart. Emma discovers she is pregnant. A child might fill the emptiness, she thinks. Might give her purpose. Might make her feel something real at last. She wants a son. A boy could grow up free, travel the world, become anything. A daughter would be trapped like her. She prays for a boy. Berthe, they name her. Emma turns her face away. Another disappointment. Another door closed. She cannot even pretend to feel maternal joy. Emma visits the wet nurse where Berthe boards. The cottage is squalid. Léon accompanies her, and his presence makes even this errand bearable. The village notices. Madame Bovary and the young clerk, always walking together, always talking. Tongues begin to wag in shops and after church on Sundays. Léon loves her. He knows it completely now. But he is too timid to act. Too respectful, too afraid of what she might say if he spoke. Emma feels it too, the pull toward him. But something holds her back, not love for Charles. Perhaps just habit. Perhaps fear of falling further. Here is the bitter irony. This one moment of virtue, of holding back, causes more suffering than any sin. She might have been happy with Léon. Léon decides to leave. He will go to Paris to study law. The unrequited love is unbearable. He must escape before it destroys what remains of him. His departure. Emma watches from her window as the coach carries him away. Another chance gone. The emptiness returns worse than before. She tries religion. Confessions, prayers, devotions. The priest is boring. The ritual's empty. God offers no substitute for the passion she craves. She tries charity. Visiting the poor, bringing soup to sick cottagers. It feels performative, hollow. Nothing fills the void that Léon's departure carved open. Charles continues to adore her. His devotion, once merely dull, now feels like an accusation. Every kiss reminds her of what she does not feel. Then Rodolphe Boulanger arrives. His servant needs bleeding. He brings the man to Dr. Bovary. But it is not the doctor Rodolphe notices at all. Rodolphe sees Emma and reads her instantly. Bored country wife, romantic nature. Neglected by her dull husband, he has seduced her type before, easy prey. He calculates his approach. No rushing. A country seduction requires patience. Let her notice him first. Let her desire build until she cannot resist. The agricultural fair approaches. All Yonville will gather for the annual display of prize livestock and pompous speeches. Rodolphe sees his opportunity taking shape. Fair day arrives. The square fills with farmers, officials, prize sheep and cattle. Speeches from the platform praise agricultural progress and civic virtue endlessly. Rodolphe finds Emma in the crowd. Suggests they escape the noise. Leads her upstairs to a room overlooking the square. They can hear speeches through the window. Below, the prefect drones about manure and crop rotation. Above, Rodolphe speaks of souls, destiny, the tragedy of being misunderstood by ordinary people. Flaubert cuts between them brilliantly. Prize for best sheep manure. Your soul was made for finer things, civic medals. We were destined to find each other. Emma is intoxicated. Rodolphe's words are exactly what she always wanted to hear. Beautiful phrases about passion and souls meeting across the mundane world. She resists. Barely. Tells him he should not speak so. But her voice lacks conviction. Virtue puts up its last weak defense before the fall. Rodolphe proceeds slowly after the fair. Visits, rides, small attentions. He lets her desire build. Lets her convince herself that this is true love. A horseback ride through the autumn forest. He has arranged everything. The path leads deep into the woods. Emma feels her heart pounding as they dismount. She gives herself to him. In the forest, on fallen leaves. Flaubert writes it with terrifying simplicity. She surrendered. And everything changes from this moment. Emma believes this is the great love she deserved. Finally, she has what the novels promised. A passionate man who sees her true worth and worships her. Rodolphe, meanwhile, is already calculating. How long will this last? How to manage her expectations? He has done this before. She is not special to him. Emma's recklessness grows. She wants to be seen with him. Wants the world to know. The secrecy that should protect her feels like another prison. Charles notices nothing. He sees a wife who seems happier now. He attributes it to fresh air, to riding exercise. His blindness is both shield and tragedy. Emma demands that Rodolphe take her away. To Italy, to anywhere. She wants to escape forever. Leave Charles, leave Yonville, begin a new life with her love. She buys travel things in secret. A trunk, a traveling cloak, exotic scarves. Objects for the journey she believes is coming. Her faith is absolute. Rodolphe delays. Makes excuses. Mentions his estate affairs, old debts to settle first. He never intended to take her anywhere. He needs to find the exit. The night before their planned departure, Emma waits with her packed trunk. Her whole life about to transform. She barely sleeps, counting hours until dawn. Rodolphe writes his farewell letter that same night. Careful phrases. We must be practical. I am saving you from yourself. A coward's poetry of abandonment. Morning brings a servant with a basket of apricots from La Huchette. The letter is hidden at the bottom. A final domestic cruelty wrapped in fruit. She reads. The words blur. Fate, duty. We must not, never forget me. The beautiful phrases are meaningless. He is not coming. He was never going to come. She climbs to the attic. The window is open. The ground far below looks like an answer. She leans out. Charles's voice calls from downstairs. Supper is ready. She steps back from the window. Not today. But something breaks inside her that will never heal. Brain fever follows. Emma nearly dies of a broken heart. Months pass in illness. Emma drifts between fever and exhaustion. Charles bankrupts himself buying medicines, consulting specialists, refusing to let her die on him. Slowly she recovers. But something fundamental has changed. The romantic fire seems dimmer now. She moves through days like a sleepwalker, through someone else's dream. Homais has an idea. The opera in ruin is performing a famous romantic work. Music and culture might restore her spirits. Charles agrees eagerly to anything. Charles buys tickets immediately. They will go to ruin together. He watches Emma's face for any sign of returning life. The opera might save his wife. The opera overwhelms her. Romantic music fills the theater. Passionate voices, tragic love, beautiful costumes. Emma's starved heart drinks it in desperately, dangerously. During intermission, a voice behind them. Emma turns. It is Léon. Years older now, confident, dressed as a Parisian lawyer. Their eyes meet with electric recognition. They talk rapidly, trying to compress years into minutes. He works in ruin now. She has been ill. The words matter less than the current flowing between them. Léon invites them to see the rest of the opera tomorrow. He insists. Charles should return home to patients, but Emma could stay. It would help her recovery. Charles leaves next morning. Patients need him. Emma should enjoy the culture, stay an extra day or two. He kisses her goodbye without suspicion. Sweet, trusting Charles. Emma alone in ruin. Léon coming to meet her. The city feels like freedom, like possibility. Like the life she always should have lived. The trap reopens willingly. They meet at the cathedral. Léon is urgent, barely able to control himself. Emma makes last gestures toward propriety. The verger drones on about the architecture. The famous cab scene. They hire a closed carriage. It circles ruin for hours, never stopping, curtains drawn. Flaubert shows only the cab from outside, we understand. Emma's second affair begins. More reckless than the first because she knows now what she wants. Léon is willing where Rodolphe was calculating. Both are ultimately inadequate. She invents piano lessons in ruin. Every week she takes the coach to the city. Charles encourages her dedication to music. Her lies come easily now. Homais provides cover without knowing. He mentions the excellent piano teacher in ruin to everyone. Charles tells colleagues how dedicated Emma is to improving herself. The hotel room becomes her real home. Thursdays, always Thursdays. The same room, the same drawn curtains. A parallel life running alongside the false one in Yonville. The passion denied with young Léon now unleashes completely. What was innocent becomes consuming. Emma teaches him things, pulls him into her desperate intensity. She corrupts him. That's not too strong a word. The shy romantic clerk becomes something else under her influence. More worldly, more dissipated, more hollow. He becomes more Parisian. She becomes more desperate. The affair that should satisfy her instead creates new hungers. Nothing is ever enough for Emma Bovary. The affair becomes routine. What was thrilling dulls into habit. The hotel room that felt like escape becomes another prison. Emma needs something more, always more. She needs more intensity, more sensation. The emotional hunger finds a new outlet: spending. Buying beautiful things fills the emptiness briefly before it returns worse. Lyrex appears, the merchant from Yonville who sells luxury goods. He offers credit so generously. Buy now, pay later. He seems so understanding of a lady's needs. His terms seem generous. Small payments spread over time. Sign here, madame. He is so respectful. What Emma doesn't see is the trap closing slowly around her. Emma buys compulsively. Silk scarves, porcelain, silver trinkets. Things to fill rooms she barely occupies. Objects cannot love her back, but they cannot disappoint either. Gifts for Léon. A new riding whip, a signet ring, expensive cigars. She showers him with things, trying to buy the love she fears she's losing. The debts accumulate silently. Lyrex keeps careful books. He sends no demands yet. He is patient. The total grows. Emma never adds up what she owes. Emma forges Charles's signature. Promissory notes requiring his guarantee. She tells herself she will pay before he ever knows. The lies multiply like debts themselves. Lyrex offers more credit. Of course, madam. A woman of your taste deserves beautiful things. He extends the noose with every kind word. She takes it gratefully. Léon begins to tire. Her intensity exhausts him. Her demands feel like chains. He makes excuses to miss Thursdays. The pattern repeats with horrible familiarity. She senses his withdrawal, clings harder, writes desperate letters, arranges surprise visits to his office. The more she pursues, the faster he retreats from her grasp. The parallel to Rodolphe emerges clearly. She becomes the pursuer now, as Rodolphe once pursued her. The desperate one always loses. Emma is learning this too late. Financial ruin approaches while Emma lives in romantic fantasy. The debts she ignores do not ignore her. Lyrex has been patient long enough, time to collect. The first legal notice arrives. Official paper demanding payment. Emma hides it in her sewing basket. If Charles sees it, everything unravels. She needs more time. She scrambles to pay the immediate debt with new debt. Signs more notes with Lyrex. Borrows from one creditor to satisfy another. The spiral tightens and accelerates. Lyrex calls in everything. No more extensions, no more patience. The full amount due immediately. Bailiffs will seize household property if she cannot pay by week's end. Emma goes to Léon for money. Her lover must help her. But Léon has no such sum. He makes excuses, speaks of difficulties. The truth, he wants to escape her. She realizes Léon is as weak as Charles, only differently. Charles fails to understand her. Léon fails to save her. Neither man can be what she needs. Desperate, she visits a lawyer. Perhaps some legal trick can delay the seizure. But the lawyer sees only a desperate woman. His eyes suggest another kind of payment. She flees his office in horror. Not this, not yet. Even desperate Emma has some remaining pride. But the options narrow. Time runs out. The walls close in. One hope remains. Rodolphe. He is wealthy. He once loved her, or said he did. Emma rides to La Huchette. She will beg the man who abandoned her. Rodolphe receives her with surprised courtesy. She pours out everything. The debts, the bailiffs, her desperation. She begs for 3,000 francs. He says he doesn't have it. He lies, the money exists, he simply won't give it. The romantic words were always just words. She finally sees him clearly. There is no one, there never was. She leaves La Huchade in a daze, walks through fields without seeing. The world has no more promises left to break. Everything she believed was a lie. She sees lights ahead. Yonville, the pharmacy, Homais' pharmacy with its colored bottles in the window. And in the back room, she knows, arsenic is stored. Justin, the pharmacy apprentice. A boy who has loved her hopelessly from afar. He lets her in. She demands the key to the storage room. He cannot refuse her anything. The blue jar arsenic. She scoops it into her mouth before Justin can stop her. Swallows the sweet, tasting poison. The final escape. No one can take this from her. She walks home calmly. Charles is waiting, worried about her late return. She says nothing, goes to bed. Tells him she is tired. The poison begins its work silently. Hours pass. The pain begins. A taste like ink in her mouth. Nauserizing Emma doubles over. Charles wakes to her screams. Something is terribly, terribly wrong. Charles sends for doctors. Homais comes running. They try everything, but arsenic is patient and thorough. Emma knows what she has done. It cannot be undone now. The death approaches. Flaubert will spare us nothing. The clinical horror of arsenic poisoning rendered in terrible, beautiful prose. Emma's last hours have begun their countdown. Emma's death agony begins in earnest. Flaubert describes it with a doctor's precision and a poet's horror. Every symptom rendered in merciless detail. The physical horror of arsenic poisoning. Violent vomiting. Burning from within. Convulsions that throw her body against the bed frame. Charles watches his wife dissolve before his eyes. Charles calls for more doctors, sends urgent messages, offers everything he has. His denial is absolute. She cannot be dying. There must be something someone can do. Homais tries his remedies. The pharmacist who always knew everything now knows nothing useful. His science proves empty against the poison his own shop provided. A brief clarity comes. Emma asks for a mirror. She wants to see herself one last time. What looks back is ruin. The beautiful face is gone forever. The priest arrives for last rites. Father Bournazian, who never understood Emma in life, comes to usher her out of it with ancient rituals and practice comfort. She kisses the crucifix with passion, the same passion she showed her lovers. Flaubert notes this with devastating precision. Even dying, Emma performs her emotions dramatically. From outside comes singing. The blind beggar who wanders the roads around Yonville. His crude song about a young girl dreaming of love. Grotesque accompaniment to her dying. Emma hears the song and laughs. A terrible laugh. Atrocious, frantic, despairing. She sees the joke finally. The beggar sings of dreams while she dies of them. A final convulsion shakes her. Her face contracts, her chest rises once. Emma Bovary dies. The romantic dreams and desperate wanting end in a provincial bedroom at last. Charles collapses. His world ends with hers. He loved her completely, understood her not at all, and now she is gone. The grief will never leave him. The village reacts. Word spreads through Yonville like fever. Madame Bovary dead. Poison, they say. The gossips who watched her life now gather around her death. Homais and the priest argue over her body. Their petty rivalry continues even now. Science versus religion squabbling while Emma lies between them, past caring about either. Charles insists she be buried in her wedding dress. Romantic gesture from a man who never understood romance. 3 coffins nested together. He spares no expense he cannot afford. The viewing. Neighbors file past to see her one last time. False sympathy masking curiosity. What did she look like in death? What secrets died with her? Charles sits vigil alone. Through the night he watches her face. He still sees the woman he loved, not the woman she was. His blindness extends even past death. The funeral procession winds through Yonville. Black-clad mourners. The coffin on its cart. Emma Bovary makes her final journey through the village that imprisoned her in life. The cemetery. Open grave. Charles tries to throw himself in after her. They hold him back. His grief is absolute, embarrassing. Love like his has no dignity. Back to the empty house. Bertie asks when Mama is coming home. Charles has no words. The child will never understand. Neither does he, truly. Neither do any of us. Days pass, weeks. Charles opens Emma's writing desk to set her affairs in order. He finds the first letter. Rodolphe's handwriting. His world shifts on its axis. Rodolphe's letters. Love letters. Passionate letters. Secret meeting places. Endearments Charles never received from her. The affair revealed in her dead lover's careless handwriting. Charles's mind refuses to process it. These must be from a novel, a story she copied out. Emma loved him. He knows she loved him. This cannot be real. Then Léon's letters. A second hand. A second set of endearments. A second betrayal. The structure of his marriage collapses retroactively. None of it was ever real. And yet Charles tries to forgive. Dead, betraying, she is still Emma. He loved her. Nothing can make him stop loving her, not even the truth. The debts emerge from hiding now. Lurex presents his full accounting. Bills, notes, forged signatures. Everything Emma owed comes due at once. Total financial ruin follows her death. Everything must be sold. The furniture, the piano, Emma's dresses, her books, the cigar case she kept from Vaubyessard. Her dreams auctioned piece by piece to strangers. Charles moves to a tiny cottage with Bertie. The doctor's son reduced to poverty. Father and daughter alone in 2 cramped rooms with nothing left but grief. He stops practicing medicine. Cannot concentrate, cannot care. The man who was only ever mediocre loses even that. He wanders Youville like his own ghost now. He meets Rodolphe by chance. The market in town. The man who ruined Emma standing before him at last. Charles walks up to his wife's seducer and speaks. He does not strike him. Does not curse him. Charles says he does not blame Rodolphe. Fate is to blame. That pathetic nobility. He cannot even hate properly. Rodolphe walks away thinking Charles contemptible. A man who cannot hate the lover of his dead wife. Rodolphe privately mocks the weakness. He feels nothing for any of them. Charles finds a portrait of Emma among their remaining things. A small painted miniature from early in their marriage. He carries it with him always, studies it constantly. His health declines. The grief is physical, eating him from inside. Charles is dying of Emma as surely as she died of arsenic. Love is a fatal condition. One morning they find Charles in the garden. Dead on a bench. A lock of Emma's hair clutched in his hand. His heart simply stopped. He had no more use for it. There is no money for a proper funeral. Charles Bovary, once respected doctor, buried in a pauper's grave. Simple wooden marker. The indignity is complete and final. Little Bertie is orphaned now. No relatives want her. The child of scandal, of debt, of tragedy. She is passed like unwanted furniture to whoever will take her. An aunt agrees to take her. Poor herself. The child will earn her keep. Bertie is sent to work in a cotton mill. Emma's daughter becomes what Emma feared most. Emma dreamed of aristocracy. Her daughter ends in the working class. The child of all those romantic longings laboring in a factory. Flaubert's irony cuts to the bone. The dreams destroyed the next generation too. Emma's wanting, Emma's spending. Emma's death left nothing for her child but poverty. The romantic lies have long consequences. But Homais prospers. The pharmacist thrives. His pomposity, his quackery, his endless self-promotions succeed where Emma's passions failed. Mediocrity is rewarded in this world. He receives the Legion of Honor, the medal he always craved, recognition from the state for his services to progress. Homais, who killed Emma, is decorated for it. The novel's final sentence. He has just received the Cross of the Legion of Honor. That bitter joke. That devastating punctuation mark. Flaubert knew exactly what he was doing. The fools triumph. The dreamers perish. The provincial world swallows Emma's memory and continues unchanged. Flaubert's bitter vision of how things actually work in human society. What destroyed Emma Bovary? Let's consider this question now. Many answers suggest themselves. Perhaps all of them are true simultaneously, in different proportions. the romantic lies she absorbed from childhood. Those novels in the convent that promised love would feel like fever. Literature can poison as surely as arsenic. The gap between what books promised and what life delivered. Fiction creates expectations reality cannot meet. Emma wanted life to be a novel. It stubbornly refused. The society that offered women only marriage as a path. What else could Emma do with her hungers? No profession, no independence, no acceptable outlet for her energies. Her own character. The inability to accept ordinary happiness. Some people are born wanting too much. Emma could not love what was possible, only what she couldn't have. The men who used her without consequences. Rodolphe who seduced and abandoned. Léon who took what she offered and gave nothing when she needed him. Men walked away. Charles who loved her but could never see her. His adoration a kind of blindness. She needed to be seen, to be known. He could only worship a woman who didn't exist. Provincial life itself. The crushing banality of Uneville, of Tositz, of every small town that suffocates those who dream too large. Geography as prison, boredom as poison. The capitalism of credit. Lerieux and his easy terms. Buy now, pay later. The system that enabled Emma's destruction while profiting from it. Desire monetized and exploited. The church that failed to offer consolation. Father Bournazian who couldn't hear her soul's distress. Religion empty as the romantic novels. Just differently packaged lies about meaning. The bourgeois society Flaubert anatomized and hated. Its hypocrisy, its mediocrity, its crushing of anything beautiful or true or passionate. France in the age of the bourgeoisie. Emma Bovary was both victim and author of her own destruction. That's perhaps the hardest truth. Circumstances shaped her, but she also made choices. Tragedy requires both elements. What made this novel revolutionary? Beyond the story itself, Flaubert invented techniques that changed how fiction could work. Let's explore those innovations now together. Free indirect discourse. A technique Flaubert perfected. We enter Emma's consciousness, hear her thoughts, but through the narrator's voice. Two perspectives at once seamlessly blended. We hear Emma's romantic clichés in her own voice. The purple prose of her desires, her breathless yearning. Flaubert lets her speak without quotation marks, framing her thoughts. But simultaneously, Flaubert's ironic distance remains. We feel his cool assessment even as we swim in Emma's heated emotions. Sympathy and judgment held together impossibly. The reader is seduced and critical at once. We fall into Emma's dreams while seeing their foolishness. This tension creates the novel's unique emotional complexity and lasting power. This technique changed how novels could work forever. Before Flaubert, fiction told you what to think about characters. After, fiction could show and let readers decide. Le mot juste. The right word. Flaubert's famous obsession. He believed only one word could be perfect for each moment. Finding it required ruthless patience and dedication. He spent days on single sentences, weeks on paragraphs. 5 years on this novel. His letters document the torment of perfection sought, and sometimes almost achieved at great cost. He read every passage aloud, testing rhythm and sound. If it didn't flow when spoken, he rewrote it. Prose had to work on the ear as well as the mind. The prose style itself embodies the themes. Beautiful sentences about ugly provincial reality. The gorgeous language contrasts with the sordid content it describes. Form comments on meaning. Beautiful sentences about ugly things. Flaubert renders provincial boredom in language that is anything but boring. The reader experiences tedium through exquisite craft. Art redeems reality. The agricultural fair chapter. A masterpiece of counterpoint. 2 scenes intercut, official speeches about livestock below, romantic seduction above. Flaubert juggles them brilliantly, devastatingly. Official rhetoric about manure and crop yields cuts against Rodolphe's romantic clichés. Both are performances. Both are manipulation. The parallel exposes the emptiness of all such language. The scene shows how all language can be manipulation. Public speech and private seduction use the same tools. Words seduce whether selling fertilizer or selling false love. The famous cab scene. Emma and Léon hire a closed carriage that circles ruin for hours. Flaubert shows only the cab from outside. We see nothing of what happens within. What's not shown is everything. The reader's imagination supplies what Flaubert withholds. Suggestion proves more powerful than description ever could be. Absence creates intensity. Flaubert is often called the father of modern realism. He depicted ordinary life without melodrama, without moralizing. Just the facts observed with terrifying precision and clinical accuracy. But he's also a father of literary modernism. Self-conscious about style, aware of artifice. The novel shows its own construction to those paying careful attention. Art about art. The novel shows its own construction subtly. Emma reads novels, lives like novels, dies of novelistic expectations. Fiction examining fiction's effects. Literature performing its own autopsy gently. Symbols recur throughout the novel. The dried wedding bouquet Emma finds in the new house, throwing it into the fire. Her marriage dead before it properly began. Windows appear constantly. Emma at windows looking out at what she cannot have. Windows as boundaries between her inner dreams and the outer reality she cannot escape. She is always at windows, looking out at roads, at coaches passing, at weather, at anything beyond her immediate life. Windows frame her perpetual state of wanting what's elsewhere. Mirrors and portraits appear throughout. Emma checking her reflection after meeting Rodolphe. Examining herself after taking a lover. Wanting to see who she is becoming through others. Money and debt as counterweight to romance. While Emma dreams of passion, creditors accumulate bills. The material reality that romantic fantasy tries to transcend catches up inevitably. The material reality that romance tries to escape or transcend. Bodies, money, property, weather, mud. Flaubert never lets us forget the physical world beneath the emotional drama. Food, furnishings, clothes. Bourgeois objects everywhere. Flaubert catalogues them obsessively. The material culture of provincial life rendered in exhaustive detail. Things, endlessly things. Things accumulate as feelings dissipate. The more Emma buys, the less she feels. Consumption as failed substitute for connection. Possessions possess their owner instead of the reverse. Flaubert's contempt for the bourgeoisie he depicted so precisely. He hated everything they represented. Mediocrity, materialism, pretension. Yet he captured them with the attention only love or hatred allows. Madame Bovary, chiste moi. Flaubert's famous statement, "I am Madame Bovary." His identification with his doomed heroine more than mere artistic empathy. He recognized himself in her. He too longed for beauty in an ugly world. The romantic soul trapped in bourgeois France. Flaubert felt Emma's suffocation in his own lungs. Her prison was his prison. He too felt trapped by provincial French life. Croisset, where he worked, was not so different from Yonville. The same bourgeois neighbors, the same suffocating routines, the same boredom. The difference was art. He had an outlet, a discipline, a purpose. She had only fantasy and consumption. His romantic longings were transformed by labor, hers destroyed her. Art as discipline versus fantasy as consumption. Emma consumed romances, let them feed her passively. Flaubert labored to create, transforming longing into something that could last beyond death. Emma reads romance novels. Flaubert writes one differently. She believes the lies. He exposes them while creating new beauty. The reader versus the writer's relationship to fiction. The novel critiques the novels Emma reads. It is a romance that deconstructs romance. A love story that shows how love stories kill. Literature examining itself with surgical precision. Self-aware literature about literature's dangers. Flaubert knew stories shape how we see life. He wrote a story about that shaping, that danger. Meta before meta was common. Is Flaubert cruel to Emma or compassionate? Critics have argued both for over a century and a half. The clinical detachment seems cold, but perhaps coldness is a form of respect. Critics have argued both positions for over a century. He mocks her. He mourns her. He is she. He is above her. The text supports multiple readings simultaneously and still. The clinical detachment seems cold. He describes her death with a doctor's precision. Every symptom noted, every humiliation recorded. Is this cruelty or is this witnessing truly? Yet her suffering is rendered with terrible precision because it matters. A lesser writer would look away. Flaubert stays, sees, records. That staying is a kind of honor. Perhaps the detachment is a form of respect. Not sentimental pity that diminishes, but clear-eyed witnessing that acknowledges Emma as fully real, fully complex, fully human and deserving attention. Not sentimental pity but clear-eyed witnessing. Flaubert refuses to make Emma better than she is, or worse. She is seen as herself. That seeing is the highest compliment art can pay. Flaubert refuses to judge Emma explicitly. The narrator never says she was foolish or wicked. Let's facts speak. Actions have consequences. The reader must draw conclusions from evidence presented. Let's facts speak. The reader must judge for themselves. This apparent objectivity was itself revolutionary. Previous novels told you how to feel. Flaubert showed and stepped back gracefully. This objectivity was itself revolutionary. Authors before Flaubert guided readers' moral responses explicitly. He trusted readers to see, to feel, to understand without instruction from above. Previous novels told readers what to think. Heroes were explicitly heroic. Villains declared villainous. Moral lessons stated clearly at the end. Flaubert abandoned all of that completely. Flaubert shows and withdraws. The author invisible, the world presented directly. Modern technique that would shape fiction for the next century and beyond into our own time. The famous impersonality. The author absent from the text. Present in every word choice, but never stepping forward to comment. The magician performing tricks while hidden from view. The artist must be in his work like God in creation. Invisible and all-powerful. Felt everywhere, seen nowhere. Flaubert's famous aesthetic creed shaped how we think about artistic presence. Invisible and all-powerful, felt everywhere, seen nowhere. Like God in creation, the artist disappears into the work. The work exists complete, seemingly without origin, perfect self, containment achieved. This aesthetic shaped modernist fiction for a century. The writers who came after learned from Flaubert's discipline, his dedication, his faith in style as meaning itself truly. Joyce, Woolf, Hemingway. All learned from Flaubert. The showing not telling. The precise style. The author invisible behind the work. He taught them all how to disappear properly. The discipline of showing not telling. Let the scene speak. Let the reader see. Trust the image, the action, the dialogue. Don't explain what should be felt naturally. Prose as precise as poetry. Every word weighed, every sentence balanced. Fiction as artful as verse. Flaubert brought poetry's discipline to the novel form and transformed it forever. The novel as constructed art object. Not spontaneous outpouring but labored creation. Built word by word like a cathedral. Architecture of sentences, engineering of emotions, art as craft. Who was Gustave Flaubert? The man who created Emma Bovary. Let's spend some time now with the author. Understanding the life that produced this masterpiece of literature. Born in ruin in 1821. The very city where Emma would sin. The cathedral where she met L.A. on stood outside Flaubert's childhood window. Geography shaped imagination. His father was chief surgeon at the Rouen Municipal Hospital. Achille, sly office Flaubert, a man of science, rationality, clinical observation. Young Gustave grew up in the hospital's shadow. Young Gustave watched autopsies through hospital windows. Death dissected, bodies opened. He learned to look at human flesh without flinching. The clinical gaze began in childhood observation. His father's rationalism versus his own romantic yearnings. The tension that would define his life. Science and art battling for the same soul. The conflict became creativity ultimately. The tension in the novel was first in Flaubert himself. Romantic longing disciplined by clinical observation. Desire examined under surgical light. He wrote his own conflict into Emma's story. Adolescent Gustave fell in love with an older married woman. Elisa Chalet singer, met at a beach resort when he was 14. She was 26, beautiful, forever unattainable. Elisa became his template for romantic longing. He would love her at a distance for decades. Never consummated, always burning. He understood impossible desire from the inside completely. He knew Emma's romantic obsession from inside his own heart. The worship of what cannot be possessed. The fever of wanting. Not judging Emma, because he had felt it himself. Law studies in Paris. His father's practical plan for a practical career. Young Flaubert hated every minute. He wanted to write, only to write, nothing but writing. A nervous collapse at 22. Epileptic symptoms perhaps, or hysteria, or escape. He fell convulsing in a carriage. The body provided the exit his will could not manage. This illness became his escape from bourgeois' career. Invalid son need not practice law. The sickness, whatever it was, freed him to write. His body rescued his soul. He settled at Croisset, the family estate outside ruin. Lived with his mother and later niece. Would remain there for the rest of his life. Voluntary exile chose him back. The hermit of Croisset. That's what they called him. He wrote through nights, slept through days. Dedicated entirely to art. The world came to him through books and letters only. His father died in 1846. Sister Caroline died the same year in childbirth. The inheritance secured his independence. Financial freedom allowed artistic freedom completely and forevermore. He never needed to earn money from writing. Could afford to spend years on single works. Most writers cannot ignore the market. Flaubert's wealth let him pursue perfection without compromise. Financial independence allowed artistic independence. He could write for years without publishing. Could revise endlessly. Could reject easy success for difficult perfection. Privilege in service of art. His early work was romantic excess. Fevered prose, melodramatic plots, everything he later mocked. Young Flaubert wrote like Emma dreamed. He had to outgrow himself to find his style. His friend Louis Bouilhet challenged him. Another writer, a poet demanding discipline. Write about ordinary life, Bouilhet said. Master the real before indulging the fantastic. The dare changed everything. Write about ordinary life. That dare became Madame Bovary. A provincial doctor's wife. Nothing exotic, nothing romantic on the surface. The challenge to make art from the mundane. The novel was based partly on a real scandal. The Delamere case, gossip from Normandy. A country doctor's wife who took lovers and poisoned herself. True crime become high art. Delphine Delamere, the real woman. Country doctor's wife who spent too much, took lovers, killed herself. The basic facts. But Flaubert transformed gossip into something eternal and universal. But Flaubert transformed gossip into art. The facts were a skeleton. He added flesh, blood, soul. Emma's not Delphine. Emma is everyone who ever wanted more than life could give. 5 years of writing. 1851 to 1856. Day after day at the Croisset desk. Obsessive labor that makes other writers seem casual in comparison. Art is suffering. Sometimes only a page a week. Extreme perfectionism that seems almost pathological. Every sentence tested, weighed, revised. Progress measured in paragraphs. Not chapters, glacial and relentless simultaneously. His letters to Louise Collet document the torment. She was his mistress during these years. He wrote her constantly about his struggles with the novel, an archive of artistic agony. Louise Collet received detailed accounts of his creative suffering. A demanding mistress kept at distance, fed with words about words. She wanted his body. He gave her sentences about sentences. Bovary is killing me. He wrote those words to her. The famous complaint. The novel draining his life even as he gave it life. Mutual parasitism of creator and creation. Yet he persisted. Art demanded sacrifice and he made the sacrifice willingly. Every night at the desk. Every sentence fought for. No escape, no shortcut, no compromise accepted ever. The novel was serialized first. Revue de Paris, October to December 1856. Installments appearing weekly. Paris reading Emma's story as it unfolded. Immediate controversy, immediate fame, immediate scandal. Scandal immediately. Charges of obscenity filed by the government. The novel offended public morality, prosecutors said. Emma's pleasures described too vividly. France would put literature on trial. The trial came in January 1857. Flaubert versus the French state. Literature in the dock. Could words be criminal? Could describing adultery be an offense against society itself? The prosecution cited the cab scene, Emma's pleasures, her passionate embrace of adultery. The state read passages aloud as evidence of corruption. Literature weaponized against its own creator. The defense argued artistic merit. The novel had a moral purpose, showing consequences of sin. Emma dies. Virtue is vindicated. The defense played the morality card strategically and successfully. But barely. The court issued a stern warning. Flaubert escaped prison but not reprimand. Art had won this round narrowly, against the state's desire to control imagination. The trial made the book famous. Nothing sells like scandal. Readers who might never have noticed now rushed to see what the fuss was about. Censorship as advertising. Published as a book in April 1857. Immediate bestseller. The 5 years of labor finally paying off. Flaubert was famous. His technique vindicated, his suffering justified by success. The same year Baudelaire was tried for The Flowers of Evil. His poetry also accused of obscenity. 2 great French writers in court in the same year for creating beauty. 1857. The year French literature was put on trial twice. An extraordinary moment when the state felt threatened enough by words to prosecute writers. Art as danger. France under Napoleon III, the Second Empire. Political repression wearing respectable clothes. Censorship as public morality. The state controlling what citizens could read, think, imagine, desire. Literature as threat to moral order. The authorities took it seriously. Words could corrupt. Stories could seduce readers into sin. Emma Bovary's fictional desires endangered real French citizens, apparently. Flaubert became a symbol of artistic freedom. The writer who faced down the state. His trial made him more than a novelist. He became a principal, a precedent, a hero. Later works followed. Salambus set in ancient Carthage. Sentimental education about a young man in Paris. Never repeating Bovary's success, but always pushing his technique further and deeper. Never repeated Bovary's success commercially, but his influence grew with every decade. Writer's writer. The one other novelist studied to learn their craft, reputation increasing as sales moderated. He died in 1880 at Croisset. Found at his desk, they say, working on his last unfinished novel. The writer's death, pen in hand, the dedication unbroken to the end. The unfinished work was Bouvard and Pierre Cuchet. 2 copy clerks who try to master all human knowledge and fail comically. An encyclopedia of human stupidity. Fitting final obsession for Flaubert. Found dead at his desk, the writer's death. Pen nearby, manuscript before him. He died as he lived in the service of sentences, the dedication unbroken even by mortality. His legacy was secure. The novelist's novelist. The one serious writers studied when they wanted to understand their craft. Not always popular but always essential for those who cared. From Maupassant, his direct student, to Nabokov, his distant admirer. Writers across generations acknowledged their debt to Flaubert. He taught them all how sentences could matter, how precision was possible. He taught them all how to see clearly, how to write precisely, how to disappear into the work. The invisible god of modern fiction began at Croisset alone, writing about Emma. Madame Bovary's influence on world literature. Let's trace the ripples now. How this one novel about a provincial woman changed what fiction could be and do forever. He taught writers that style was everything. Not just what you said, but exactly how you said it. The sentence as unit of beauty and meaning, craft elevated to art. The sentence as unit of beauty and meaning. Before Flaubert, prose was transparent, a window. After, the glass itself became beautiful. You could admire the frame while seeing through it. Realism that transcended mere documentation. Flaubert recorded provincial life with scientific precision, but the recording became art. Observation transfigured by style into something more than mere accuracy alone. Tolstoy read Madame Bovary. Anna Karenina follows a similar arc. Adulterous wife, stifling society, tragic end. The Russian master learned from the French, then exceeded him in scope. Adulterous wife, provincial society, tragic end. The parallels are unmistakable. Anna and Emma, sisters across languages. both trapped by desire and convention, both destroyed by the gap between them. But Tolstoy judged where Flaubert observed. The Russian moralized despite himself. Flaubert maintained that terrible neutrality. Neither condemns Emma explicitly, but their temperatures differ in the telling significantly. James Joyce called Flaubert the first modern novelist. High praise from the revolutionary who wrote Ulysses. Joyce saw in Flaubert the origin of everything he himself would attempt. Joyce learned in direct discourse from Flaubert, the technique that became stream of consciousness in Dubliners and Ulysses. Entering minds without quotation marks. Flaubert invented the door Joyce walked through. The stream of consciousness starts here, with Emma's dreams. Her mind on the page, unframed by authorial commentary. Interior life made exterior. The private made readable, fiction's great revolution. Vladimir Nabokov taught Bovary at Cornell obsessively. Lecture after lecture dissecting Flaubert's technique. The Russian émigré saw a master craftsman and studied him with scientific intensity for years. Nabokov's lectures on Bovary are legendary among writers and scholars. Dense with admiration for technique. Sentence-by-sentence analysis. A masterclass in how to read and how to write. Nabokov saw Emma as both foolish and genuinely suffering. The double vision Flaubert intended. Neither pure sympathy nor pure mockery, but both simultaneously. The mature reader's complex response. Film adaptations struggle with the novel's interior focus. Movies show surfaces. Flaubert's genius was depth. How do you film a free and direct style? How do you show thoughts directly? Vincent Minnelli directed a version in 1949. Hollywood glamour applied to provincial tragedy. Beautiful surfaces, but Emma's inner world remained largely inaccessible on screen despite elegant production. Claude Chabrol made a faithful French version in 1991. Meticulous period detail. Isabelle Huppert as Emma. Respected but somehow cold. The fidelity preserved the surface perfectly, but missed the soul. Sophie Barth has directed another in 2014. Mia Wasikowska as Emma. Each generation tries again. The novel resists translation to screen. Its essence is verbal, not merely visual. The problem is that Emma's thoughts are the novel. Screen shows surface, behavior, speech. Flaubert gave us her consciousness directly. That directness cannot transfer to a visual medium easily. Screen shows surface. Flaubert's genius was depth. The visible hides the invisible in cinema. The invisible is made visible in fiction. Different arts with different powers at their core. Modern readers argue about Emma differently now than earlier generations did. New lenses bring new understanding. The text stays constant while readings evolve with changing cultural assumptions and concerns. Feminist readings see Emma as victim of patriarchy. Limited options crushed her spirit. What else could a woman of her intelligence do in 1850? Marriage or marriage or marriage. What could Emma have become with education and freedom? A writer perhaps, an artist, a professional. Her hunger was not wrong. Her world was too small for it, tragical. Her romantic delusions were what society taught her. Those convent novels, those ideals of feminine longing. Culture shaped Emma, then condemned her for being shaped. The trap was designed. Consumer capitalism readings see Emma as first modern consumer, shopping to fill emptiness. Buying identity. The mall before malls existed. Desire manufactured, then exploited for profit by merchants. Emma as first modern consumer. Buying identity with borrowed money. Finding self through objects. Flaubert diagnosed consumer culture a century before it became universal. His provincial housewife anticipated our world. Psychological readings ask, what condition did Emma have? Depression, borderline traits, chronic dissatisfaction as pathology. Diagnosing fictional characters is dubious, but irresistible to modern therapeutic minds constantly. Diagnosing fictional characters is dubious but tempting. Emma is case study. But she is not a patient, she is a creation. Literature is not a symptom to be cured. French readings emphasize the critique of provincial bourgeoisie. Flaubert attacking his own class, his own region, his own France. Social satire with personal venom. He knew and hated his targets. Universal readings see the gap between dreams and reality. Every person has felt what Emma felt. The longing for more than what is. She is particular and universal simultaneously. Emma exists wherever people expect life to be like fiction. The gap between stories and reality. She is not only French, not only 19th century, she is now too. The age of curated self-presentation creates new Emmas constantly. Fantasy lives performed for audiences. The gap between the life shown and the life lived wider than ever before. Curated fantasy lives versus messy actual lives. The comparison steals joy now as it did then. Emma measured her provincial reality against romantic fantasy. The math never works out. Comparison as theft of joy. Emma knew this pain intimately. The Vaubyessard ball ruined ordinary life forever. One glimpse of glory made everything else unbearable. Paradise poisons return. Why does Bovary endure while other scandal novels of its era are forgotten? Many books shocked in 1857. Only this one still speaks to readers today. Why this one? The art elevates the sordid into tragic beauty. Flaubert's style transforms provincial adultery into universal poetry. Without the sentences, Emma would be mere gossip. With them she is eternal. We recognize ourselves in Emma however we judge her. The wanting. The disappointment. The reaching for what glitters. Few escape her condition entirely. Most just manage it better perhaps. The longing for something more than what is. The defining human experience perhaps. Animals accept. Humans want. Emma wanted magnificently, destructively. Her wanting was her glory and her doom both. The seduction of beautiful lies about life. Romance novels, advertisements, dreams of elsewhere. We are all susceptible. Emma just succumbed more completely. The disease is common, the severity variable. Flaubert made us see ourselves in the mirror. His novel reflects back our own desires, our own disappointments. Reading Emma we read ourselves. The mirror neither flatters nor condemns. And the mirror neither flatters nor condemns. That's Flaubert's gift. To see truly without judging. To render human folly with terrible beauty. To love and dissect simultaneously. Art's highest achievement. Let the story settle now. We've traveled far tonight together. Through provincial France, through one woman's dreams. Through her destruction, and what it means for all of us. From Emma's dreams to her destruction and beyond. Through Flaubert's painstaking labor to create her. Through the readers who found themselves in her mirror, across more than 100 years. Through the provincial towns Flaubert knew and hated. Toasts Yonville ruin, the map of Emma's cage. The geography of longing that he transformed into art from personal knowledge. Into the consciousness of a woman who wanted too much. Or perhaps just wanted what she was promised by all the beautiful lies culture taught her to believe. Or perhaps just wanted what she was promised. The romance novels said love would feel like fire. Society said marriage would satisfy. Both lied. Emma believed and was destroyed. The romance novels told her love would feel like fire. Endless passion, eternal devotion, escape from the ordinary. Beautiful words for impossible things. She memorized them all faithfully. Her life offered Charles instead. Devoted, dull, disappointing Charles who loved her completely and never understood her at all. His worship could not see past his own need. The gap between promise and reality. Unbearable for Emma. Perhaps manageable for most of us. We learn to live with disappointment somehow. She never learned, could not learn perhaps. She reached for what glittered and it turned to ash in her hands. Rodolphe's beautiful words, Léon's tender looks, Luriux's tempting goods. All ash, all always ash. Rodolphe's words were beautiful but meaningless. He spoke of souls and destiny while calculating his escape. The poetry was performance. She was audience, not beloved, never truly seen. Léon's passion faded into routine and cowardice when tested. Young love grown ordinary, then inconvenient, then burdensome. He retreated when she needed rescue, like all the others. Objects accumulated but couldn't fill the emptiness inside. Silks and scarves and silver. Things meant to substitute for feeling. The purchasing could not purchase what she truly needed. The tragedy is not that Emma was wrong to want. Wanting is human. The tragedy is wanting without seeing clearly. Desire needs wisdom or it destroys what it desires. But that wanting without seeing clearly is dangerous. Desire unexamined becomes destructive. Emma wanted magnificently but blindly. Her eyes were full of dreams that blocked reality entirely. Flaubert saw this because he felt it himself. The romantic who disciplined himself into an artist. His wanting became work. His longing became sentences. Transformation saved him. The romantic who disciplined himself into an artist. He took the poison Emma swallowed and transformed it into medicine for others. His suffering became the cure for suffering. Emma had no such discipline, no such outlet. Her art was her life and her life became her destruction. No page to pour herself into, only the flesh consuming itself. Her art was her life itself, and that life became her destruction. No transformation possible for her. Only the direct living of what could not be lived directly without cost. The night settles around these old sorrows now. Emma's pain, Charles's loss, Flaubert's labor. All part of the past. All settled into the pages where they live forever. Characters from another century, another country. Costumes different from ours, customs strange in some ways. Yet the feelings are as close as your own heartbeat tonight. The feelings are as close as your own heartbeat. Wanting more, feeling trapped, reaching for beauty, finding disappointment. We know Emma because we share her human condition intimately. Who hasn't wanted something more than what they have? The job that would fulfill, the love that would complete, the place that would finally feel like home at last. Who hasn't been disappointed by reality's limits? The morning after the dream, the return from the vacation, the ordinary Tuesday following extraordinary Sunday. We all know this feeling well. The difference is degree and luck and learning. Emma had more wanting, less luck, no learning. We who survive do so by some mixture of these we can't quite control. Let Emma's story be a kind of warning. Gentle, not harsh. See beauty in what is, not only in what might be. The present holds more than dreams can. See beauty in what is, not only what might be. The window that frames a view also lets in light. The limitation also protects. The ordinary also holds wonder. Let your breathing slow now, thoughts quieting. Emma rests. Charles rests, even Flaubert rests at last. The story is told. The book closes gently on this good night. The words grow softer as sleep approaches. No more climaxes, no more crises. Only the quiet after the settling, the gradual dimming into rest that we all need. Flaubert labored years over every sentence you've heard tonight. You've absorbed his masterpiece in an hour. Let that gift settle into you now, becoming part of your dreams. You've absorbed his masterpiece in an hour tonight. 5 years of his life given to you in 60 minutes. The concentration of genius made available, resting with you now. It will dream in you now. Images, feelings, questions. Emma at windows. Charles at her bedside. Flaubert at his desk in the night. Writing what you've heard tonight. Emma at the window, looking out at what she couldn't have. That image stays. Her silhouette against the glass. The wanting that defined her and destroyed her both. Charles reading by lamplight, happy and unaware. The devoted husband who loved what he could not understand. His ignorance was cruelty and kindness both, impossible to separate. The provinces sleeping under the same moon as tonight. Normandy, France, the world. Different century, same sky. Same human hearts beneath the same indifferent stars. Rest now, rest now. Let stories carry you into gentle darkness. Tomorrow the world returns. Tonight, only dreams. Only rest. Good night. Sleep well. The book is closed. Peace be with you.